What's up, noobs? I'm 20 hours into Dragon's Dogma 2, and I have a few thoughts on gameplay I want to share with you. Although I say gameplay, I'm not really going to talk about mechanics as I'm just not that kind of gamer. I'm more interested in story and immersiveness, so I'm going to focus on aspects of the game that directly affect that experience. Let's start with the language in this game. Is it just me, or does it feel very chat GPT? It's like someone said, "Can you speak to me in Old English fantasy style?" And then they proceed by saying pray and ought 10 times every sentence. I don't know, it just feels very flat. And that every character speaks in the exact same way kind of takes me out of the experience and feels very old school gaming to me. I haven't done any research on this, but this being a Japanese game, I'm wondering if it sounds better in Japanese. I know there is an old-style Japanese way of talking which is supposedly very complex, and I'm guessing the game uses that and there isn't a good way of translating. But I don't know, let me know if you do. And of course the lack of option to speak to characters is disappointing. I think Baldur's Gate 3 is the reason I'm always going to be disappointed. But so far in the game there really is no option whatsoever. I just accept the quest or decline. I think it's a bit strange when they've gone that far in character creation that they wouldn't add some more personality into conversations to really get into the role-playing. But I guess it's a lot of work. Soon, guys, AI will fix the a lot of work part. I also find it incredibly annoying that people actually stop you to talk while you're walking. I mean, they should get realism points for that, but honestly, it's just annoying to me. As I said, I'm 20 hours into the game, and I don't see any signs of being able to romance any character, and with the lack of dialogue options, that makes me kind of worried. The only hint of romance I've seen so far is that you can give gifts to people. Not sure what it does, but I'm trying to stay away from spoilers, because I want to experience the story for myself this time. For Baldur's Gate 3, I spent weeks looking at all the videos before I actually played the game, because I was assuming that I would only have one playthrough. Don't be a noob like me, guys. So for romance, I'll just see if there is anything further into the game, but so far, no luck yet. Pawns. God, it feels good to be worshipped. Especially when your main pawn is your husband, or husband. I love telling them what to do, where to go, when to stop, and I love it when they show me the way, because my sense of direction is horrible. So far, they've had a few funny interactions, like commenting that all the pawns are males, and my husband replying he would love to get some more females in. That's both hilarious and accurate. But it feels a little one-sided at times too, like every time one pawn is excited by treasure chests, the response from another pawn is always the same. And for the first 10 hours when I tried to small talk to them, they just replied that they had nothing to say. Now it's at least one sentence about how we feel like a family or something, but it's kinda not worth it and feels very mechanic because you can't respond to it. Maybe this develops more as we go. I hope so. A funny reaction from my husband is that he was really sad that the pawns don't level up with you to the point that he didn't want to be involved in choosing the pawns, because he didn't want to get too attached to the characters. And I understand what he means. In the beginning, we had a really good dynamic of different personalities with the pawns, and the banter was really funny. But then as you level them up, you have to keep switching them out, and you just don't get to bond with the other pawns. Mind you, we're not playing online. I'm a noob, so I've never played online. So I guess my question is it worth it to get a PlayStation Plus subscription just to be able to hire other players' pawns? Let me know. For someone who's played a lot of Assassin's Creed, the lack of sneaking, hiding, and lockpicking is super sad. I think it's just strange not to have that option. I miss it a lot in the cities, but I think even in the wild, it would be fun to be able to hide from monsters in the bushes or something. But I do like that because there is no lockpicking of treasure chests. They are often in hard-to-reach places, so you do have to think a little to be able to go there and open it. And it feels a bit like a puzzle, but in a more immersive and natural way. And speaking of treasure, are there no consequences for stealing? I've taken gold from people's homes right in front of them and there is no reaction. Isn't that just weird? That took me out of the world and the experience a lot more than I thought it would. But consequences is what makes a game feel real. And I just don't think I've ever played a game where people don't react to stealing. You may have noticed that I haven't mentioned the fighting. That's because that's not my favorite part of gaming. I'm a noob and I get stressed out in fights. That's why I like sneaking, backstabbing, or at least having time to think like in Baldur's Gate 3. In Dragon's Dogma 2, it's definitely a stressful fighting experience, but I'm not mad at it. I don't have too much to say about the fighting just yet, and honestly, I might never. Except that there might be a tad too many monsters for my story-loving liking. Anyway, when things get too hard, I go the noob way and just get my husband to play for me. All in all, there are a few disappointments in this game, mainly for me that there isn't that much focus on the story. After 20 hours, I'm still not sure what's going on, and there is no intrigue or anticipation of what is yet to come either. Except that I know that I have to fight a dragon at the end, but I always knew that. Because there is no role-playing in terms of conversations, the few main characters I've met, and the story feels a bit superficial and distant. I did know that this game was going to be heavily focused on fighting and monsters, but I honestly thought the story and the relationships with the pawns would still feel like the main act. But it doesn't. So far, this is a monster-killing game. I'm still having a lot of fun playing it, although I think that has a lot to do with our characters looking like me and my husband, which is surprisingly incredibly entertaining. I'm hoping I'll get more into the story as I go along, and I'll make another video on the immersiveness and vibe of the game when I've gotten a bit further. That's it. Vanoobie out.